Good morning, everyone. I'm Nathan at the European People's Party, and on behalf of the EPP, welcome to this episode of EPP Family Talks. Today, we have the pleasure to welcome with us Jelena Drenjanin, first Vice President of the EPP Group in the European Committee of the Regions and Deputy Mayor of Huddinge in the Stockholm area of Sweden. So let's just try to connect with her here. And while we do that, I can say this conversation with the group in the European Committee of the Regions is the first in a series to promote an event on the 23rd of March with EPP Group in the European Committee of the Regions. Welcome, Vice President. Good morning.
Thank you. I'm trying to get my camera right. It's never easy with the technique, but I'm learning.
Yes, this
So,
is the
thank you.
second time we've had the chance to speak with you, and
Yes,
the last time was back in June, and I think if I remember correctly, that also was on Instagram and was maybe your first time using Instagram.
yeah, and this is the second time,
The
so I'm
second.
not quite, familiar, but, it's never too late to learn. Even an old dog can learn.
Well, we appreciate your speaking
Thank
with
you.
us. Welcome to all of our viewers. I see Jose, and I see Melissa, I think, and anyway, several colleagues and friends. So thanks for joining us. I was
Thank you.
just mentioning when you were joining that this is the first in a series we are doing of EPP Family Talks to promote an event on the 23rd of March that you will be moderating called, let me get the title right, Recovery in the Post-Pandemic Age at Local and Regional Level with the European Committee of the Regions. So maybe you could just first of all tell us a bit about this event and why, well, what we should expect.
I think that we can expect continuing work on the cooperation. This pandemic has hit us hard, but it has also learned us that we need each other and the importance of working together with the different levels, but also that the real help for our citizens is at a local and regional level. So this is just a continuing on the working together progress, because we have been trying to survive in so many different ways this last year, but we have to look forward and to talk about how we're going to raise how should I say, our possibilities to look into a brighter future. So we need each other, and we need to talk about the importance of the local and regional level, because 70% of the decisions made in the municipal level or regional has to do with the European. So we have to connect.
Well, let's talk about some of those issues. And first of all, I'll just ask you, how are things going in your town, in your region? We start all of these Family Talks interviews by asking our leaders, our family members, about their own areas. So how are things in Huddinge?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud to say that we have vaccinated almost everybody that works in elderly care. And we have tried to protect the elderly, because we were hit very hard by very high death numbers in elderly care. In Sweden, we have a long life expectancy, and that means also that we have a lot of people in elderly care. So they were very weak and vulnerable in this pandemic. So that's what we have done. We are now 1 week after the sport vacation for schools. And we decided to close 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, not to close, but they have education through internet at home, because to stop the spreading, because a lot of people went skiing and so on, and we didn't want to risk that. So the government has made decisions that we can have a combination of internet education, especially for all kids, but especially for the older ones in gymnasiums. But I'm also very proud that we have done a lot of things to work together, the public sector with the private sector, and I'm impressed with all the initiatives that have been taken, from the civil society to individuals to companies. We have been in this together.
Well, let's talk about some of the next steps now. So the Next Generation EU has been a major package agreed And as part of that, the Recovery and Resilience Facility is the mechanism by which funds will be dispersed to local, regional, member state levels to help with the recovery, in particular for green and digital transition. So how would you see putting Stockholm, Sweden benefiting from the RRF?
Well, the green transformation and the digital transformation had already started, not just, I think, in my municipality, in many, but I think the pandemic made us speed up everything. So we have been, how shall I say, reading the map at the same time we are roaring. So usually you have a map and then you roar, but now it's like just roar and read the map at the same time. So I think these funds are going to be very crucial on how they are used. And here I hope really that we can push the importance of the local and regional level, because we are closest to the companies, we are closest to the institutions, we are closest to the citizens. And for instance, a lot of businesses has been hit hard now during this pandemic. So we have worked very hard from our municipality to help out the local businesses. But we also know that a lot of businesses that have closed will not reopen after the pandemic. And maybe they would have closed in a few years, but the pandemic has speeded up. That means that a lot of the funds that are coming in will go to projects that are in the green sector and the digital sectors, and they go hand in hand. But the more important thing is who will work in these sectors? It's humans. What do humans need? They need education. And where is the education distributed? A lot of education is on nationals, universities and so on. But don't forget that we are now in a transforming area where we have to educate people in my age that have been maybe in a business for 20, 30 years. They are out of work now. They have to get new competences. And here, at least in my country and region, education for adults is on the local and regional level. So we really need the funds, and I would say that we can do that together with the businesses, because we have to ask the businesses, what competences do you need? Politicians should not say and say, what does the business need? No, the businesses need to say, hey, we need these professions, we need these competences. And I would say that earlier with structural funds, at least when I was chair in Stockholm, we had projects together with the car industry to educate, because they were lack of competence workers to work with cars, because today you need to know a lot of technology to fix a car. You have to know how a computer works. It's not like, back in the days, everybody could, screw something or hit something, but no, you need technology. So we did a lot of training to get more men and women into that sector. Also the building construction, they were also screaming for competent workers. And here we have a big thing we can do together to get more women in the construction industry. So for instance, my municipality, we have 8,000 apartments that are rentals. And they are a lot built maybe 30, 40 years ago. They need to be remodeled to save energy. So here we're going to use both digitalization, but also the green economy. But who is going to do this? Human beings. So we need to educate them so they can be attractive and relevant at the labor market. Because if you're not relevant at the labor market, we're going to have a lot of mental illnesses, people not working. That means less money for taxes, and where we don't get money into taxes, we don't have to spend in public sector. So we have to work together with the businesses.
So interesting what you say. I'm a former teacher myself, so I think one can't overemphasize the importance of education in all of these areas, and preparing, training, skilling, upskilling, as you mentioned, a lifelong project. And you mentioned also something I want to pick up on, that's getting more women involved in all sectors, and you mentioned specifically construction. I want to ask you about politics. You recently were involved in an initiative with EPP Group and the European Committee of the Regions for International Women's Day. about getting more women into the political sphere. Could you talk more about this initiative you were involved in?
Yes, I have. I have actually been involved in 20 years for this. And this week also the United Nations starts with 10 days of working with this, how to get more women accessed to the political arena, because that is a problem. And even if we have made success in the last, what would I say, 10, 20 years, we can also see that it's tough for women, that women may enter, but they also leave because it's a very, how should I say, tough environment in social media and so on, with hate speech and so on. So that is a problem. So we have to educate, but we also have to fight the sexism that is, because it's not acceptable that women get rape threats for being a politician, or death threats, or their family are exposed. Men are also exposed, but we can see it's more sexist violence against women. And I have examples from every country in the world, because I'm also spokesperson for gender issues in the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities in the European Council. And the report I have that has been strained is addressing this problem. So it's a problem for democracy if women can't attend politics without these threats. So we have to have mechanisms. And I hope that my EPP and all our institutions will develop mechanisms to protect women. I, as a woman, should feel safe when I'm doing what's human rights.
Recent data has come out which shows that during this pandemic, women have suffered unique and particular challenges during the COVID pandemic. What kind of challenges have these been, and what has been done, what could be done, what needs to be done, so women, fare better, including during times of pandemic?
Well, first of all, I think that women has been hit harder because women take more responsibility for families and for children. So when we have had lockdowns for schools, women tend to stay home. Women has also been harder hit by unemployment. Twice as many women has been unemployed than men. But also we can see that under financial stress and other stress and mental illness and so on, women are more exposed to violence in their homes. And children are exposed to see this violence. So I think that the consequences after this pandemic are going to be very, very expensive for a society with mental illness and so. So women has been, what can we do? Well, we decided very early that we are going to try not to close schools. Because if we close schools, we know that women are hit harder. So what can we do? For instance, I'm responsible for all the schools in Huddinge, and we have 15,000 students. Sometimes I have closed the school for maybe a couple of days or a week, but you know what we did? We opened up for those who have works that are crucial, like in the hospitals and so on. But we didn't close for small children in the first case, but what we did do is that we said, okay, we're going to close the school for a week, but you can pick up food. So you can come to the school and eat, or pick up lunch boxes, and you can pick up for an entire week if you don't want to. That's a way to release both financially, but also less stress for the women. So some students don't need it, but the ones who did can go and pick up food, lunch for all week. And that has worked out really, really well. But I will still say I'm very concerned about the consequences and the work we're going to have to do with mental health issues after this, because we have been hit really hard. And but I'm still glad that we can talk about it and raise awareness and not be afraid to ask for help.
It sounds like you and your community have come up with some really smart solutions to help in particular women, but all citizens. And I want to pick up on that, but just pan out a bit and ask you, of course, we're not out of this pandemic yet. The crisis is not over, but we're now 1 year into it. when you look back at where we are now after 1 year, what do you think at the EU level? What do you think has been done well? What was done right? And then what lessons could be learned, need to be learned, for a future crisis, if such occurs?
It will occur, definitely. It's not a question about if, it's when. And I think that we have learned that we need each other, but we also need the cooperation with the private sector, because, okay, we decided we're going to buy a vaccine. That's fine. But if the businesses don't deliver it, then all the fine documents not going to help us at all. So we have to make sure that research, because we are if we look at India or America or China, Europe is way back when it's come to research. So that's why I'm very proud that 1/5 of the recovery fund is going to strengthen technical developments for Horizon Europe, but also the important project for common European interest. Because now I see that we are less naive about our competition with other parts of the world. We can't look at the nationalistic arena. We have to see us as a continent, because Sweden can't compete with China, Belgium can't compete with India, France can't compete with America, but Europe can if we are smart and center all our resources, brain power. I mean, we have so much, but we haven't done our homework. That's true. And we need politicians that are bold, that can take decisions. And I was watching yesterday a documentary about a female politician, and now I forgot her name, but she was the Speaker of the European Parliament for 15 years, the French woman. Now I forgot her name because but she said that if we are going to talk about how much cabbage we are going to grow instead of family politics, then we should not talk at all. We need more of those kinds of women and men.
Well, thank you so much for your ideas, your analysis. I want to say we've just got
Simone Weil. I'm sorry, Simone Weil. I forgot her name, but Simone Weil.
That's what I thought as well, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that was her. It was just like lost her. I'm getting old. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you another question, but first a more informal question. But first, we have a Kalimera from Cyprus, from Christiana. We have a greetings from Italy. I also wanted to say greetings to Victoria and Evgenia and other friends and colleagues who have joined us. But we normally finish these interviews, as we did with you back in June, on a more personal, more informal note. And so I wanted to add, you back in June, you talked with a lot of passion about your interest in fashion. And so I wanted to follow up and ask you about this. What are you reading about? What are you thinking about now in the world of fashion? Is there a COVID effect on fashion? What's new? What's coming?
Yeah, it is. And it's very interesting because I see it in a historic economic perspective. And we are never going back to the consumer behavior we had earlier. Now we see a big increase in the second-hand market. People are fixing things. People are buying second-hand. People don't spend without thinking, because either they don't have the money, or if they do have the money, they want to make something that is long-lasting. I think that when the pandemic is over this time, we're going to see explosion of people in color and glitter and partying. I don't party much, but even I would like to go out and party all night. I'm looking forward to that. I promise I'm going to do that, and I'm going to wear a glittery outfit. But I think that also we're going to spend more wisely and be more conscious about our planet, that the fashion industry has a big impact on the chemical industry and other industry, and that we will see fashion in a more sustainable way that we have done earlier. So that's my predictions, that we can see that second-hand market is growing, and we have social platforms where you can buy and sell. It doesn't cost you anything. And I think that's great. So new times gives us new opportunities, and that's also good.
Fascinating. I'm thinking back to what you were saying earlier about Instagram, new skills, so new fashions as well, new industries, even new economies developing. So
Yeah.
just one final question, which we ask of all of our leaders, and that is there a book or film or series you would recommend to us?
Yes, I would, and especially to all my friends in politics, because I think that sometimes we are naive. But this is a good book. It's called Hacked Democracy, Martin Moore. And it's a political turmoil and information warfare in a digital age. And we often talk about hate speech and trolls and fake information. But when you read this book, I can really recommend it. I have been naive of what's going on and what a threat it is for democracy, because many of these warfare is about with the aim to destroy the democracy that we have been building up for so long. And it's a really risk. So I would really recommend it to everyone that's in politics. Read it. If you don't want to watch a horror movie, read this book. It has the same effect.
Well, a serious, but I think a very, very important point to end this interview with. Ms. Jelena Drenjanin, First Vice
Thank you.
President of the EPP Group and the European Committee of the Regions, Deputy Mayor of Huddinge in the Stockholm area of Sweden. It's really a pleasure speaking with you. This is our second opportunity to do so, and we appreciate on behalf of the EPP all the work you're doing, and we look forward to the event you'll be moderating on the 23rd of March on the recovery at the local and regional and national level. So thanks to all of our viewers. Join us again next time for EPP Family Talks. Have a great day.
Bye.